Are you sick of more and more checkpoints, more and more highways shut down? Not just when Obama comes through town, but when the Speaker of the House comes through town, when the governor comes through town. One time they shut down a bunch of roads when Vicente Fox came to town and had a parade of motorcycles for the criminal Mexican president. And I went out there and bullhorned him at point-blank range, and the state police refused to arrest me because they'd lost lawsuits over it. Whenever I bullhorned at the gate and shut down the press conference of Vicente Fox, calling him a narcotics trafficker because he's clearly connected to groups that have been caught doing that. That video, by the way, is on YouTube somewhere. It's actually in my film, The Battle for the Republic, the short film, the extra to the DVD film Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement. Now, before I go any further, without further ado, let's go ahead and start into the news here. The news I haven't gotten to yet that is so important. I'm just going to read you these headlines from Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And then when I get to the end of these 6 or 7 stacks, I'm going to get to the top story that illustrates just how much trouble we're in. Feds urging paramedics and firefighters to help find extremists, and the extremists are gun owners, veterans, people that don't like the government. They're actually telling them that that's basically a sign of terrorism, and so now they're spying on you when they're in your house. And, of course, now when you go to get health care done, they ask you if you have guns and won't render care until you answer under penalty of perjury, and they put that into a health department federal database. And they take your children into a room alone nationwide now, even if you have your own insurance or paying cash, and interrogate your children. Welcome to East Germany in 1962. And remember, it's not angels running all this. The average do-gooder doctor or whatever is putting you into a system where you are absolutely going to have your rights destroyed. You will be targeted. If you're a 15-year-old MS-13 gangbanger that came out in the news that kills a cop, you're going to be fine. They just waive all the child welfare laws for that. That doesn't matter. It's about you being targeted if you're an American. I don't care what color you are. So that article's up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We're going to be getting to it. Border Patrol agents, UN taking control of America's southern border. This story broke yesterday as the broadcast ended. Under the pretense of stabilizing and labeling them refugees, illegals refugees, the UN personnel are now working with DHS to ship MS-13 gang members into the U.S., says agent. And we have the same sources, and there's also another group of journalists that have got other sources saying the same thing. The UN's on record down there with observers. There have been UN observers on the Arizona Mexican border for at least 5 years. Now they're in Tejas. And our own Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, down there on the Arizona border yesterday, the video's up on Infowars.com, walked right across where there was a drug shipping house and went right through. I didn't tell him to do this. Not just because I want liability protection, but I don't want him to get hurt. I don't even know if Biggs probably should have done this. He went right into the drug smuggling route area, went through the openings in the fence, and went and bought a taco. We're going to get him on the show. In fact, we probably get him on today. I love how he's wearing his Army uniform while he's out there. He's in the air right now. I guess they're flying to South Texas. All right, well, let's get him on tomorrow to get a breakdown of all this. So, reporter goes through open fence in Arizona, buys taco in Mexico, returns. And then shot video from the Mexican side. There's the headline. Reporter enters Mexico via fence opening to illustrate border collapse. Pretty ridiculous how open the border is. Continuing, a human trafficker attacks South Texas game warden. Orchestrated border implosion encourages criminals to engage in risky illegal business. They're shooting at people, stabbing them, attacking them. And when border agents fight back and shoot back, they get indicted by the Justice Department. So now they just run. Now they just run. Here's another one. GOP in the House, send National Guard speed removals Rebuke of Obama's proposed solution to crisis on the southern border. Obama came out in Reuters today and said he's dispatching a team from the Justice Department and the Pentagon with a major general down to the Texas border to decide if National Guard need to be there to, quote, aid the refugees. And I told you where this was going on Monday when Rick Perry announced that he was going to send 1,000 National Guard down there. It doesn't matter because the Guard are going to hand the people over to ICE that then gives them a green card and buses them wherever they want to go on Greyhound. What has the Border Patrol head said, and the former head, and the head of the union, and the head of the retiree union? They've all said, quote, they're facilitating the end of the smuggling cycle. They have collapsed the border. They have ended the border. It's asymmetrical warfare. Those are all quotes, precise quotes you just heard. Precision, total asymmetric warfare carried out perfectly. That's a quote. Carried out perfectly. Yeah, Obama's not a buffoon.
We'd prefer not to. We'll let law enforcement officials do that. So we're going to deter by being present and fully visible. And then we're going to refer anybody who comes our way to law enforcement. DPS will be close by.
To then hand them over to the feds, who will then bus them into the country. And I'm not saying that the general that's over the State Guard is bad or over the National Guard in Texas. Let's put him back up on screen. I'll give folks his name. I'm not saying maybe Rick Perry means well. I'm not, but I know what the end solution is here for Obama. That's just in the borders. That's Major General John Nichols, Texas Adjunct General. So that's the two-star general here over Texas. That's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, the Army and the National Guard, the Army's not supposed to be running around in Indiana running checkpoints with guns. That's totally illegal, but it's going on. Regular Army. You know where the regular Army could be with Abrams tanks and helicopters? The border. That's what an Army's supposedly for. It's not to run around and arm Al-Qaeda. But, of course, it's not there. They will... And by the way, 911 calls are at record levels of the illegal aliens. See, they committed a thought crime right there. That's what I'm called in Mexico. I'll call it that here. That's the term worldwide. They call the police with their cell phones to get picked up and taken and then given to ICE and then to get 3 hots and a cot and a bus ticket. You want to go to New York? Want to go to Indianapolis? Want to go to Seattle? Want to go to Dallas? Want to go to Albuquerque? Want to go to Sioux Falls? I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. Anywhere they want. Vouchers with Greyhound. I can't get that. Again, this is a joke, people. Toll-free number to join us, 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. So all this is more nannies. Why don't we put the big red one? Why don't we put the regular Army brigades that are training to take on the Tea Party? What do you expect a military training to take on the Tea Party publicly? Their main mission to crush gun owners. What would be their other mission? Bussing the illegals in. I mean, just, that's what it is. Well, they got the Army down there, the National Guard. They'll fix it. No, they won't. They will deliver them to ICE run by Obama. House GOP and National Guard speed removals. You can't because ICE is in control and the criminal president won't let the military do their job. I'll tell you who's going to be arresting you if you go over the Mexican border and who's going to take you to a slave pit to then get your ID number and suck money out of your family. It's going to be Mexican Army. But that's okay. There won't be any news reports about them knocking your teeth out or extorting $100,000 over a year out of your family when you come back with dysentery or maybe die. There won't be any newscasts about how you were beaten to death, especially if you're a gringo. No. There won't be any of that because you don't count. By the way, they beat Mexican Americans, black Americans to death as well. I mean, Mexico is a hellish place now, especially in the north. Well, Raza's CEO, chants USA, USA, made me angry in an interview. So see, just hearing USA is bad. I agree. Don't wear your American flags. Run up white flags. Abroad, the beast migrants fear Texas crackdown after Perry sends troops to the border. Texas Governor, AFP reports, Rick Perry's plan to send troops to reinforce Mexican border was enough to deter Salvadoran couple Edwin and Sandra, who decided to make a difficult trek through Mexico instead. The young couple, who are expecting a baby in 6 months, are crossing the Mexico aboard an infamous freight train known as the Beast, which tens of thousands of Latin Americans hop on each year. Carrying 2 small backpacks, the pair had jumped off the Beast, actually a network of trains crossing Mexico from the south to the north, and say they'll now, I guess, try to get up here some other way. Because, hey, what do? You get pregnant, and then you go through Mexico, and you make the little payoffs on the way, and then you get here, and you're given a voter ID card and a driver's license, and then you vote to make me your slave. It's a very easy equation. Carrying 2 small backpacks, the pair had jumped off the Beast, actually a network of trains crossing Mexico from south to north, to stop for the night in Christ the King, a shelter in central Mexico town that provides rooms to migrants hoping to sneak in the United States. Isn't that just special? Guaranteed Ford Foundation, U.S. government funded or church funded. The couple had been on the road for 18 days since leaving El Salvador, but they heard the news about presidential prospect Perry's move to send 100,000, or excuse me, I had a Freudian slip, 1,000 National Guard reservists to the already tightly guarded border. It's not tightly guarded. Listen to this bull. They decided to ditch their plan to cross at Eagle Pass, Texas, and take an 11-hour route. They're going to cross in New Mexico, they go on to say. And again, I'm not against these desperate people. I feel sad for them. But let me tell you, they're being brought in to crush this country and bring down the borders, and will vote to take my guns, and will vote to make me a slave. I was talking to a rock star who pays about 80% of his money in taxes one way or another. That's why a lot of rock stars and people just have stopped touring, because they can't even make money. And folks tell them, well, 80% that you're paying, like that golfer out in California who complained and had to apologize, he's paying like 75%. 80% ain't enough. Now, Nicholson, you need to pay 100 like the middle class does in France. 100%. I'm sick of this slavery. Using our democratic system to bring in people to then vote to take my guns. And I told you this was coming. Again, General says guard to take observation role. We just played that clip, but they're going to observe and then help take the 911 calls to pick the people up in air-conditioned vans to take them to the Greyhound bus terminal. So... and, of course, to keep reporters from getting video of it. We've already had that go on. So that's what's happening. ICE has been begging for help, and sources say immigration agents believe the federal government is deliberately not giving them work. Yeah, they've been ordered to stand down. So that's a National Review article, and it's a whitewash. It's much worse than that. Pew Research report nearly 90% of illegal immigrant children are teenagers. Migrant children and no-shows at Dallas immigration hearings. Dallas Morning News, oh my gosh, they get brought up there and get released out wherever they want. Oh, you're 11 years old, we'll just turn you over to some people you claim are your family. Oh, you're 14 years old, we're just going to... and there are no-shows. The U's were among 20 from Honduras in the first immigration hearing on the thousands that have been brought into Dallas from El Salvador and Guatemala. They were set to appear in federal immigration court Tuesday for initial deportation hearings, but they weren't there. They just didn't show up. They're part of 100,000 estimated to have come in this summer. Almost none show up. And that's the few that get given hearings. They're saying it's a 5-year waiting list, basically. Here's another article. Woman unwittingly fed sheltered MS-13 gang member. Yeah, right. Gang member receives handouts for attempting to proceed further inside the U.S. Attempting? And it's all part of destabilizing the whole country. And Democrats out there hate the Second Amendment and libertarians so much and want full political power. They are all licking their lips. Remember 6 months ago we had... Veritas Project O'Keefe on, James O'Keefe, and he got clips at like 8 or 9 different areas in Texas where they openly are bragging. We're opening the borders. The state will be blue. We're taking over. And I mean, it's an operation, period. And the mission is bankrupt the state, Just like California, get those guns, and they'll get them. It's their country. And they're using desperate people that can't even use, the political system, don't even understand it. And it's, in every one of the clips, it was old white ladies up there just managing all, we're opening the borders. Just nothing but hardcore political opportunists who will get the political power out of this and manage the new political underclass. And that's the head of a major UC Davis department, Professor Yamamoto, who's been, given Rockefeller Foundation awards and, been part of that whole operation. An insider. That's what it is. And again, the Republican leadership won't say squat. I'm going to go to break and come back with your calls right into the bottom of the next hour, and we have a special guest joining us. This is Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. I take it morning, noon, and evening, and everyone that sees me says, my gosh, you've lost weight. My gosh, you look better. And I already lost a lot of weight working out and taking Beyond Tangy Tangerine from InfoWarsHealth.com. Your purchase there supports the whole broadcast. But when I got on this Nascent Iodine about 10, 11 months ago, and then now on the X2 from the crystal source that no one else has, the 7 to 12,000 foot, they corrected me, 200 million year old. They're not even sure, but it's purple pure crystals. It's just unbelievable how much stress I'm under, what I do, the amount of sleep I get. I could not have done it without the X2. And everyone else that takes it, my office is just blown away by it. This is not hype. If you'll just purchase your first bottle of it for $29.95, it lasts a month. The recommended dosages. Take the challenge. I'll be surprised if you aren't blown away. We've got super male vitality, and men, for your wives, girlfriends, the super female has been reported by friends, family. Shane Steiner's wife's going to come in and talk about it soon. It's just blown her away, and she already looks like a beauty queen. She's even more firm, lost more weight, looks younger. Shane says she's never looked better in the 10 years that they've been together.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done's been right.
Let's go ahead and talk to Erebus in Australia. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how are you?
Good, brother.
Yeah, I've been listening to you for quite a while, been watching from the shadows, all that kind of stuff. I've noticed Australia is signed onto the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and I do seem to recall a Some of Us petition, a whole lot of people throwing up a mad stink about it. And it does worry me. What does this mean for my country and the rest of the world that has signed those documents?
Well, our elites are so wonderful, and we're so free here in Western countries like Australia and the United States that there are 30 parts to that, and only a few of them have been leaked by Anonymous, which is probably Google, and that particular part of Anonymous. I'm not saying all of Anonymous is Google, but Google doesn't want internet restrictions yet because they're dominating the world right now with the free web. But insiders a few months ago leaked the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, but only the parts dealing with open web censorship, an end of free speech, web taxes, Chinese-style censorship. That's why the Chinese are signing on to it. We don't know what's in the other parts. They're reportedly even more nightmarish. But our president signed on to it. Your government's signing on to it, I know. And no one's allowed to know. Kind of like Bush signed on to the North American Union Agreement in 2005 at Baylor. There were photos of them signing the agreement, and they said it's secret. Well, we got part of it in the Banff, Canada meeting a year later via lawsuits, and it said North American Union using border crises and other things to bring in a world government. So they have to create a North American Union, Asian Union, European Union, and then bilateral agreements merging those. And then they tell the public, go to hell, you can't see the agreement. Doesn't that sound like authoritarian, autocratic tyranny to you, brother?
It sounds like absolute corruption, and I'll have you know I'm the founder of a Sydney-based metal band called Deranged Humanity. Every lyric of ours is very much political. I think it's from one of our songs, Bleed Out Light to Black. There's a lyric where it's politicians waging war, bleeding out the foreign poor. Is this the way you wish to die, servants to the lie? And that's exactly what we're seeing today.
I mean, they just illegally spy on us. They just illegally put stuff in the vaccines. They illegally take blood at birth from Australia to here, all declassified for secret DNA databases. They just do whatever they want. It's a revolution by the political class and the corporate class against everybody. And they have us fighting over left, right, black, white, Hispanic, whatever. And again, it's a real fight because the Democrats in this country, and it's the same in Europe, have organized the minorities into a majority and have them trained on average to hate any liberty, associating it with white people. So it's a serious situation, and I don't know how to turn it around, but thank you for the call from Australia. I'm going to quantify why I'm against starting a war with Russia, and it's a lot bigger than nuclear war, because I don't think that's a probability right now, but it is in the cards. I'll break it down coming up. Let's talk to Adam in Canada. You're on the air. Welcome.
Hi, Alex. First, I'd like to say thank you for all your hard work.
Please, don't thank me. Thank you, brother. Go ahead.
And the great products that you find for us. I just got another Longevity Health Start Pack, and I've been loving this stuff for months. I'm 40 years old, and I feel better than I did when I was 25.
Well, InfoWarsHealth.com, when you purchase the great products, they're discounted. That helps fund our operation, and they're great products, so thank you.
Absolutely. So you wanted to talk about checkpoints today. You know, I'm in Canada, and the funny thing is when the checkpoints started up here, they started without any fanfare or backlash. It started with the DUI checkpoint, and then it was the seatbelt checkpoint, and then it was insurance checkpoint, and now it just seems like it's checkpoints for, you know, it's Tuesday. Let's have a checkpoint.
Yeah, well, Magna Carta bans checkpoints, and then it became our Bill of Rights, but you've got Magna Carta, and they're not supposed to do them, but they just do them. And it's, well, come on, guys. It's for your safety that we have checkpoints. Well, Soviet Russia had them. Nazi Germany had them. And our border is the only place that you can constitutionally have a checkpoint. And I've been mad at the Border Patrol because they've been directed for at least 6-7 years to only mess with citizens mainly. And they've admitted that, too. They've said, no, we're told to do busy work and, you know, mess with teenagers sneaking back pills from Mexico. But we're not supposed to mess with hardened criminals and illegals. And so, yeah, that's what's going on. So how are you liking those checkpoints?
Well, it's funny. I can avoid the checkpoints, you know, because I don't drive in the city. But, I mean, you can go just about anywhere out west in the prairies and walk into the United States completely unmolested. Like, nobody will see you. You're walking through a cornfield or a wheat field, and you're in the U.S. You know, so the idea that, you know, we're going to catch a whole bunch of bad guys on our city streets, but we're not going to protect our borders. It's ridiculous. You know, we have an unprotected border of the United States because we've always felt that, you know, we're safe. We don't have to worry about bad things coming across from the U.S.
Oh, that's a good point. I wanted to. What do you as a Canadian think about tens of millions of illegals set to pour in, 30 million already here, and the word is they're already going into Canada? I mean, this is incredible. I mean, I guess you want to live in Guatemala, right? Because that's where you're about to live.
Well, you know what? Out in Vancouver, there's a lot of South and Central Americans in Vancouver, illegals. They come up through the States, they come up to Canada, they go to Vancouver because it's got the nicest climate. I mean, the homeless shelters out there are just full of Guatemalans, San Salvadorians, El Salvadorians. I mean, it's just, and they get on the welfare rolls, and they are considered refugees up here. And we've been considering them refugees longer than the States have. So imagine, you know, it was hard to get by down in the States. Well, they just come up here because it was easier to get by in Canada.
Yeah, the socialists want that. And again, you're going to go bankrupt. It's a plan. It's not like we're trying to go down to Guatemala and help them get a good government and build them up. And then if people are skilled or whatever, let's folks come up here. It is a premeditated, hey, you're pregnant? You know what your plan is? Get pregnant and come to America. And then the left puts us in an impossible position. They go, then pay to abort them. And I'm like, no, I don't want to kill the Guatemalans. I just don't want them coming here to be exploited by you to vote to take my guns. Don't you understand? Shut up, racist. And I'm just done. I mean, it makes me want to throw up. Alex Jones here for Infowars.com. We're going to be intensifying our efforts to awaken free humanity to the scourge of the globalist in the month of July. And starting this July 4th, we are going to slash prices in a celebration of true Americana, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence on all of the Made in America products that you will find at madein1776.com or InfoWarsStore.com. We're talking about Made in America belt buckles in brass and nickeled brass that state it loud and proud. Molon Labe. That's why we have the best-selling Made in America men's and women's Molon Labe Infowars.com shirts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a win-win. You vote with your dollars. You support the most hardcore organization out there for promoting true ideas of libertarianism, constitutionalism, basic human empowerment. But more importantly, you get T-shirts and belt buckles so you can meet like-minded people. So you have a conversation starter with friends and family and coworkers. We are reaching out to each other. And you also throw it in the face of the anti-gunners and the rest of the parasites out there that you're a free man and woman and that you're not going to be a slave, that you're not going to be intimidated to shut up by their tyranny that they call political correctness. That's why in the month of July, we have got giant specials on everything at madein1776.com. But to expand the InfoWar, we're offering the biggest special in the history, 13 years of PrisonPlanet.tv, our multimedia platform. We're offering the equivalent of more than 5 months free right now when you get a membership at PrisonPlanet.tv, and you get 11 memberships that can be used with the same username and passcode so you can share it with friends and family. Now is the time to fund the war bonds. Now is the time to fund the InfoWar. Now is the time to get aggressive. Now is the time to double down. Now is the time to realize you are the people that made the InfoWar so successful and one of the leading lights worldwide against tyranny. You don't stand behind us, you stand right beside us, and I salute all of you on this July 4th, 2014, and going forward in the month of July and onward. This is about freedom worldwide and that desire for human dignity and self-determination that beats in the human breast. We are brothers and sisters together in the true spirit of liberty and the animating contest of liberty. And so I quote in closing the great Thomas Jefferson that I have sworn on the altar of God resistance against every form of tyranny. And never forget, if you are watching or listening to this transmission, you are the resistance.